Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, all you dregs of society, all you rock dwellers, all you sycophants, all you stinkos, all you hateful people who celebrate the president. You're always welcome here, and this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. I'm Rick Trader, and Nasir, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Thanks, Rick. Always a pleasure to be here with every day. And listen, let's just get started. Let's get the ball rolling. It's just another great day to be alive and well and free and living in the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world, bar none. So, Rick, here's my question to you. How are you? How's everything going in your neck of the woods out there? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis to...
Well, on a day-to-day basis, Nasir, it's the Conservative Commandos radio show. It's the AUN television network that really consume the major part of my time. When I do get out, Mary and I, my bride, we try to go for walks and parks. There's a really nice park not too far from here. It's big. It's open. Not a lot of people... so you can keep your social distancing, work out the yard, and I think the best thing for people is to get out in the sunshine, get out in the fresh air. In the 1918 virus, where hundreds of thousands, I don't know the number right now, how many people died. They found there were so many people that were sick. There were not enough hospitals, so they actually hospitalized people outside in tents. And they found that the people that were outside and outside in tents actually had a better recovery rate than people that were in the brick and mortar buildings and structures of hospitals because of sunshine and fresh air. The same thing was found in the Civil War, that troops that were hospitalized outside in tents had a better recovery rate than the soldiers that were recuperating inside buildings. Again, sunshine and fresh air. So, like to get out whenever I can.
Oh, absolutely. So let's just give some of the statistics right now for our viewers and listening audience out there, what's happening as of. And so this is as of, I just want to make sure I get this date here. So this is updated as of April 6th, as of today. Total cases about 330,000 in the United States of America. And we're approaching close to 9,000 deaths, 8,910. This is according to the CDC site that I'm going on. But Rick, there is some good news amongst, obviously, I mean, every death taken, is something that, is just, traumatic to everybody. It's hard, especially if it's a family member, but then, I mean, we're talking about for our country. So no matter what this is, and we're going through this as a country, we will come out of this as a country. But here's the thing. You saw on television, on radio stations, Rick, there were a lot of predictions going on. And at the time, I was tweeting about this and putting out on Facebook that, I thought that was basically malpractice on the part of the medical institution and even on the CDC. And my reasoning was this. On top of the pandemic, there's enough fear already there, which is it's a real fear. Now, on top of that, you have Dr. Fauci, who, I've got my qualms with him, but I mean, he's been involved in this for 50 years, but he's not an economist. He's a medical doctor. So I think he's not a psychologist, although I think he should have been studying a little bit about that. I mean, for him to come out there and initially say that, we could have 200 million Americans, 200 million Americans affected. And then if you give a 1% rate of death on that, you're close to like 2 million people that could die. Now they've all backed off of that. And then recently you've heard Dr. Fauci says, models are just models. They really don't tell you anything. Well, then why did you have to put that and spit that thing out there for the American public to hear about that? I mean, that's just, to me,
you're absolutely right. these models, we see these models a lot with weather. We
Yes.
see these a lot with things, for instance, the ozone, the depletion of the ozone. We see these models with global warming. What it is, Nasir, garbage in, garbage out.
Oh,
All right.
absolutely.
And also you can make these models do anything you want by altering the data. But Nasir, when you talk about 330,000 people sick, roughly 9,000 have died. Now let's compare these to normal flu and virus seasons.
Yes.
Last year, and every year we go through a flu and virus season. Last year, there were 43 million people that got the flu. 61,200 died. Now, that's not as bad as the year before when 49 million people got the flu. 78,000 people died. So you look, and the fact that we are past mid-March, and that's usually the peak of the flu season, mid-March. We're near the end of the first week of April now. And what destroys these viruses, Nasir, and I think one of our guests is going to talk about this later on in the show, is with the oncoming of summer, you get warmer temperatures and humidity. Both those things are natural enemies of these flus and viruses. So when you look at these numbers, Nasir, that you just gave us, that were updated as of yesterday, April the 6th, 330,000 people sick, 9,000 people died. That's minuscule compared to viruses of past years. Now, can this thing get worse? Yes, it can. And I think one of the reasons that maybe it could be worse is the fact that from year to year, they are able to calculate how they need to prepare for the next flu season. With the flu vaccines, all right, they can modify those flu vaccines for next year's flu. This flu came out of nowhere. They weren't prepared for this. Now, next flu season, they will be prepared for it. They will have a vaccine for it. I think the cutoff, we're going to see. I've heard this morning that this is going to be the worst week. Maybe so. After this week, I think the numbers are going to get a lot better. But we have to ask ourselves, Nasir, is it time for America to go back to work? Is it time for American business to open up again? I think we're in a Great Depression already. Do we want to deepen this depression? 10 million people over the past month applied for unemployment. All right. Is the cure actually going to be worse than the virus itself?
I think on this type of thing here, I think the president and his advisors, we've already entered this phase. I think people already know that, we can't take this into, July, unless something happens. And you know what? The heat, the humidity, if this is a virus that doesn't, follow the normal rules that, viruses, are usually, will die when subjected to the heat and humidity, where they say sunshine is the best disinfectant or whatever. So I think right now, New York City, the epicenter, I think we've got to take it and basically go to the end of this month and then, reassess as what happens and then start opening up those areas of the country. But you know what? New York City, that's the financial district of the world, basically.
Well, there may be some areas, Nasir, there may be some areas that need to remain closed.
Right.
I agree. I agree with closing the schools. I think that was a good move. I agree with letting people know social distance. That was a good move. But as far as shutting down every business, now I'll give you, for example, the grocery stores are still open, Nasir.
Right.
They're opened in limited hours. What about expanding those hours so people can go in after midnight when there are less people there? Instead of condensing the hours, expand the hours, so therefore you have less people in the stores at any one time. Open more stores. So again, more people can go to different stores. But my gosh, we are creating a depression here, Nasir. And the last Great Depression wasn't ended with these bailouts, wasn't ended with the New Deal or anything that FDR did. It ended with the Second World War when everybody was put to work. That's what ended the last Great Depression. I would hope to think that's not what it's going to take to end this one.
No, you're right, and we're in uncharted territory. We truly are. We really are. And I know we've got to go to a break. Just to let people know too. Remember, 80% of the cases that are diagnosed, they have mild to moderate problems. They don't need any hospitalization. They just go back home. They self-quarantined, and the majority of cases of the people that have died have been the people that are above the age in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but unfortunately. So that's, the takeaway in terms of the numbers.
Yeah, and people are worried about the virus, but they continue to smoke, they continue to drink, they continue to take drugs. You're worried about your health. Stop those three things and you'll be healthier. Right. You'll be much healthier. You are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Nasir Shaikh, a medical doctor, and yours truly, Rick Trader. No, I don't play one on television. But today's show, like all our shows, is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. We'll be right back. We'll tell you who our guests are and our topics for our conversations.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty? We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! With those sky-high payments! You can't forget about your debt. Always fear, the debt suckers are here! Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution. Because debt sucks!
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And the hallmark of our program is our terrific guests and information. So with that, Nasir, who are we going to be speaking with today?
Well, thank you, Rick. Our first guest is going to be Dr. Eddie Fatakhov. He's a board-certified physician and nutritionist, and he's going to be talking to us about a technology that he's seen. It's been used in hospitals. Disney's using it. He said Boeing is using it. It's basically utilizing, UV, technology with different nanometers, different spectrums of light. So that's going to be our first guest, Dr. Eddie Fatakhov. And then we're going to have Hayden Ludwig. Hayden is an investigative researcher for the Capital Research Center, and he is going to be talking to us about Democrats must stop pretending and get out the vote is charity, about the dark money that's being basically that permeates the political spectrum. And finally, we've got Frank Vernuccio, who is the co-host of the Vernuccio Novak Report and also the co-host of the American Political Zone. Great article by Frank talking about the COVID cover-up.
All right. Three great guests once again.
Absolutely.
So, Nasir, in my opinion, Donald Trump is looking very presidential. I love his press conferences. He introduces them, he steps aside, and he lets the experts speak. But still, we're still getting these stupid idiot questions from the press.
You're right. And listen, when you talk about people in the presidency, and you think about when, Donald Trump and sometimes his kids say, did we really need this? I mean, you've got money, you've got fame, you've got your brand, you've got beautiful family, beautiful wife, beautiful children. But he did this, wanting to be president because he wanted to make this country better. And I'll tell you what, I can't think of anything in my past that a president has had to come up with in terms of making some major decisions. And what this president has done, look, he's not a medical doctor. He's got to find the experts. And who did he get? He got Dr. Fauci. I've got some situations, some things that I could, deal with Dr. Fauci in terms of, what he's portrayed and put out there. But the man does have 50 years of experience. So he's putting together a group as best as he can of all the medical people out there, the economists that are surrounding. They're giving him all the information, Rick. And then he's making those decisions. We talked about one of them already. One was basically, shutting off this country, not allowing those flights coming in from China, where other countries, didn't do it as quick as possible. He didn't care what the polls said, didn't care what the media said, even though they started calling him xenophobic. They've been calling that since the time he was running as a candidate. So what difference, who cares that they're calling it now? But you're right. His press conferences are succinct. And you know what? It is a travesty. I think it is just beyond the pale that you've got these alphabet cable news networks, that are cutting away from those right now, that are, whenever Donald Trump says something, when he mentioned that thing about the anti-malarial drug, chloroquine, they basically said, you know what? This guy's, what's he doing? He's peddling snake oil out there. At everything. Now one reporter says, Mr. President, if you're talking about that everybody should wear a mask, why aren't you wearing one? These are the types of idiotic, moronic questions, and all they're trying to do is try to see if they can make him stumble, make him bumble, make him look like, a fool.
Insult him. Try to insult him.
Try to insult him and whatever, and it's not working. And you're right. He is very, very presidential. He's making these decisions. Hey, we elected him. We're going to have to live by those decisions. Our republic is going to be.
Thank God we reelected.
Absolutely.
I would hate to see this country today if it was under the guise of one Hillary Clinton or a Joe Biden or even a Barack Obama. You open the borders.
That's the thing, Rick. That's the thing right there. I'll tell you what, that right there should disqualify anybody. Right. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, God forbid Hillary Clinton. That one thing that you would have said, that you would have kept the borders open.
Yep.
Should disqualify you, okay, from making any decision in the future, especially as President of the United States.
All right. Well, Nasir, they're talking about another round of stimulus. I'm totally against all these stimulus packages. Reopen America. But once again, Nancy Pelosi is threatened to put her socialist agenda into any stimulus spending.
You know, Rick, this is where the fabric of America starts to unravel slowly and slowly, because they're going to hold hostage, and the pressure they're going to put on the Republicans, the pressure they're going to put. Look, they already put the pressure. They said they weren't going to put any pork. We know what they did.
Yep.
$500 million.
$93 million. $93 million, Nasir, went to Congress for salary increases and expenses.
See
That's about $175,000 per member of Congress in salary and increased expenses. $175,000 for each member of Congress in addition to salary and expenses. What does that have to do with helping America? Helping themselves a great deal.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the equivalent. You know what, Nasir? That's like an extra year's salary for each one of them. Right. $93 million. Do the math yourself. 93 million divided by 535, the members of Congress. See what you get. It's about $175,000 each. That was in the stimulus package that's supposed to help America? How's that help America?
Our whole budget is around $4.5 trillion, I believe. That's 2.2. That's almost 50% of our budget. And they're talking about stimulus too. I mean, I've been hearing they're talking about 3 or 4 different packages. Now, are they going to be, I mean, are they going to scale those down? I mean, what's going to happen? The first round is already out. Who knows? And then you said it's just, they say, it's like you said, a small 93 million, Rick, compared to 2.2 trillion. That's how these people look at it. The 25 million to the Kennedy Center, the relocation for refugees or immigrants or whatever, the $350 million. I mean, we could go on and on and on. And unfortunately, this is the way Washington works.
I want to know why any damn Republican ever voted for this. I don't know why any Republican.
They're scared, Rick. They're scared.
No.
Yes,
they should have said no. They should have said to the American people, look, we're going to take care of you.
Yep.
But we're not going to fund the Kennedy Center. We're not going to give Congress a $93 million raise. We're not going to give $350 million to resettle people that came here illegally, broke our laws, came here illegally. We're not going to give $25 million to the Kennedy Center so they could fire their people the very next day. They should have just said no. They should have stood their ground.
They should have stood their ground. You're right.
They should have absolutely stood their ground.
And you think they're going to stand their ground on this next round?
Oh, they better. They better, Nasir, they better stand their ground on this next one. That's all I got to say. Let America go back to work. Yeah. And by the way, this $2 trillion stimulus, what did you say? The government's budget is what, 4.4?
4.5 trillion.
Half of that already, of that is borrowed money because the government only takes in 2.2 trillion a year. That means they've just given away. I'll tell you what's coming next. Nasir. The next round of governors and senators and municipalities and the counties saying we need massive tax increases because of the coronavirus. Our resources have been stripped and we need to raise taxes. That's what's coming next. That's what's coming next. But you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be speaking with, on the other side, we're going to be speaking with Dr. Eddie Fatakhov. He's going to be talking to us about UV light and how this new UV light technology can kill the coronavirus with under a second of exposure. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our first guest.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And once again, for rebroadcast of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And with that, Nasir, we do have our first guest of the day with us. And as you do with all our guests, please make them feel welcome.
Oh, thank you, Rick. We have Dr. Eddie Fatakhov. He's a board-certified physician and a medical doctor, also a nutritionist, and a best-selling author of his book, Dr. Fatakhov, Simple Lifelong Weight Loss Solutions. So, Dr. Fatakhov, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Glad to be here.
Well, good. Well, you know, people are going to be asking, who is Dr. Fatakhov? Well, we said he's a board-certified internist from Atlanta. He's on the front line on this expected escalation of the COVID-19 coronavirus. And what he is doing he's conducting a week-long series of remote news conferences, and he's going to be talking to us about the efficacy and effectiveness of far UV light and how it's able to kill the COVID-19 coronavirus. So, Doctor, I was reading this thing here and trying to get some background information, but I think the best way is for you to let our listeners and viewers give us an idea. What is it that you've discovered, or how long you've been worked on this? I see from some of the stuff they've been using UV light before. What have you done to sort of enhance that process?
Yeah, so basically germicidal or 254 nanometer UV light, UVC light that we use in the hospital, we're using for the past 100 years to kill germs, has been in place. So when this pandemic happened, I was thinking, how can I get patients in my office safely and do everything I can to make sure that they feel that they're safe when they come into the office, because everybody's worried about getting coronavirus. So I initially was doing the widespread search online. I'm like, there's got to be a solution. You know, we're too advanced of a country, too powerful of a country, too many smart people in here that there's not a solution for this, right? And I was doing my research. I went into the Columbia University website and I found Dr. David Brenner. So he's at a Columbia University radiological department, and he says using far UV, which is a different wavelength, right? Not the traditional UVC that we see at the hospital. It's a specific patented wavelength that is actually safe for humans, right? So that caught my attention, because normally when you think of UVC light, you think of skin cancer, cataracts, you can't be around it, right? It's not safe for human exposure. So this kind of caught my eyes, and then I read the article and saw what he talked about years ago about influenza, how it can kill it in the air, and how there's a pandemic coming. So he's been talking about this for the last 5 years. There's a pandemic. We need to put this in buses and schools. We need to have this in doctors' offices and public transit. In case we have a pandemic, we are prepared to have these lights everywhere, low light level fixtures that can actually kill the virus in the air and then disinfect everybody in there. Almost kind of like, instead of having to wipe down everything with bleach, you just have these lights that can do it in seconds and fractions of a second. And said, okay, well, let me find the company. Then it took me about 2 weeks to find the company. I'm like, there's got to be somebody that makes this lights, right? I searched everywhere online. Everybody had the 254. They said far UV on them, but when you call the companies, none of them had that 222 nanometer that he did the study on. Finally, I stumbled upon this company called Sterile Ray wavelength technology. It's two brothers. The brother has the patent, and he's the invention physicist. So he actually was the one that supplied the technology to Dr. Brenner to do the research at Columbia University. And he's created this technology since 1999. So I had a really good chat with him, and I said, hey, I need to get one for my office. I need to have this in my office for my patients to sterilize the whole room, to sterilize phones, keys, anything you can think of. And he says, look, I'd give it to you, but Disney just bought they just bought your last one. So I finally been talking about enough on the network that they sent me a loaner while mine is being built of the actual technology. And so what he created was a specific wavelength, 222 nanometer, and he had multiple patents on it, where it can go for surfaces, air, liquid, skin. He even got a patent for the eye, right? So basically you can use this to disinfect PPEs. You can use this to HVAC units to sterilize the air. You can use this theoretically to sterilize yourself, right? And if you're exposed to something. They've used to sterilize C. diff and VRE and MERS and bacteria and influenza and whatnot. And so when I asked him, hey, why is the FDA not approved this? We can have this in every single bus, school, everything, and get everybody back to work, right? He says the way it's approved is approved for environmental use at this time, but they have data showing that it's safe for humans. So we just need the FDA to at least look at the research and see what they think, because the way the wavelength is, it's a 222 nanometer. It's very different than germicidal 254, so it does not penetrate the skin, right?
How large of a machine are we talking about, Doctor?
I mean, small. I have it right here behind me. It's small, and they actually have a wavelength, kind of like a starlight from Star Wars, right? Where you can take the wave, the excimer wave, and then you can actually walk around with it handheld and basically sterilize the whole office in a matter of minutes. And you can sterilize in the PPE that you're wearing and the face mask.
So what would be the way for, let's say, for example, if people wanted to know how you can basically know that the object that you've done is sterilized after you pass that over? Would it be then to take a little bit of the material, put onto a petri? How would you basically know that you basically killed the virus?
Yeah, they've done studies on it. It can kill like 80,000 particles per second. So in about 5 seconds, it can kill influenza, the traditional human coronavirus, right? So the way the technology works, so kind of your viewers understand, is that whenever you put that UV light, that wavelength there, it disrupts the chemical bonds in the amino acids, whether it's DNA or RNA, whatever the virus or bug is, or bacteria or parasite, whatnot. It disrupts and it kills it. So theoretically, the ones we're using in the hospital right now, they have not done research to say, hey, this kills COVID. It just assumed basically that light, germicidal light, with 222 nanometer, if it disrupts the DNA, it will inactivate the virus or bacteria. So if it kills a regular human coronavirus, it kills influenza, then you could take that data. The envelope is the same. It will technically kill COVID as well, right? But yeah, you could take a Petri dish, and they've done it. They've done studies for that. They've done it at NIH and the VA, where they looked at C. diff and VRE and how it killed in 1/3 of a second.
Now, when you've done some of these, when you've shown this to some of the doctors, in your sphere of influence, and others at the hospital setting, what has been your response from them, and what are they asking you? Obviously, you said when you contacted this company, you said Disney bought out. And how is Disney utilizing this? What are they doing with this 222 nanometer?
So they're basically sterilizing their studios, their Disney studios, their cameras, their equipment, anything that is electronic. They're sterilizing. Because think about it, if I'm at my computer right now, you're not going to wipe down bleach or Lysol using your keyboard. It's electronics, right? But here I could turn on the light and disinfect every electronic, every hard surface there. And then it actually, the way that Boeing is using it in their 737 Maxes for the actual laboratory. So the whole bathroom will get sterilized, and then the water gets sterilized too. So they actually even sterilize the water using this UV 222 nanometer technology. And those are great questions. So I brought it up to my colleagues and some of the other physicians, and they just said, oh no, you can't be next to that. That causes radiation. So I had to basically tell them, hey, this is not the same thing we have in the hospital. This is not far UVC. This is safe for humans. So it was basically a lot of education time explaining, hey, this is a totally different, this is an innovative technology. It's not the same thing. And then once I got past that, it clicked, and I said, oh my God, why is this not everywhere? It's just, when you present it to somebody like, well, I can get this on Amazon, I can get this on Alibaba, I can buy this for $100. That is not far UV 222 nanometer. That's 254 germicidal. And they've even done studies with some of those head-to-head, the ones you can get online. And what it kills in 99.7% in a few seconds, those only kill 20 to 30%. So it's not the same thing. And people are basically spending all this money for a product that may not even work, or does not have the actual research or studies that they claim they do.
Now, what would a machine, for example, that does have the 222 nanometers, what would that retail cost for? Or what is it, something that's within the budget, or is that something that people could purchase if it was made available?
Yeah. It is. I mean, you could go on Sterile Ray. That's the company that have the patent. I mean, they're the guys that make it. And I purchased one. But it's affordable when you compare it to what they have in the hospital, right? Those robots that clean and disinfect, those are over $100,000, right? So a wand that you could use for residential, for commercial use, to have at your home, or just to have, in your office, or just kind of disinfect, about $1,700. I think, considering, it's 30,000 hours the last 3 years, I think for that price and technology, because those lights are really expensive. I don't think that's a bad price, given the the counterpart of the hospital for $100,000.
Oh, absolutely.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is Dr. Eddie Fatakhov, and he's talking about a new technology of using far UV light to disinfect and kill the coronavirus. Doctor, we got to take a short break. Could you stay on with us for just a few moments? Because as you and Nasir were talking, I was writing like crazy. I got a bunch of questions I'd like to ask you. But you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our guest right after this break.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033. Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Nasir Shaikh and yours truly, Rick Trader. Want to give a shout out to folks who are watching us on television stations in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Wine Country, all the way up to Redding. Very soon, we're going to be in Carson City and Reno, so look out for us there. Our guest this segment is Dr. Eddie Fatakhov. He's a board-certified internist from Atlanta, and he's in the front line with the coronavirus. Doctor, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time. Doctor, when I got the press release about you and this new unit, this new UV light unit, one of the reasons why I wanted to really get you on is I thought about using UV light to kill germs. You see them in like hospital settings and things like that, and I was wondering if these units couldn't be used, but you're saying that what we're seeing in, say, hospital units are not as effective as people like to think they are. Is that correct?
Well, they're effective, but the problem is, one, they're really expensive, right, to have that robot into the room. And then two, not only is it expensive, two, it's not safe for humans, right? This at least has studies saying it's safe. So obviously the FDA needs to do further research to see if it's cleared for how much humans can be around it. But, they're using this far UV technology in Florida. One of the doctors using it for corneal transplants to get infected, right? So he's putting the light in the light to kill the parasites and the fungi, amoeba, without hurting the cornea, right? If you put a germicidal 254 in your eyes, you'll go either blind or have cataracts or have some serious corneal damage.
So, Doctor, I got to ask you this question. You're promoting this, but you do not own this company. Is that correct? You do not own this product. You have no interest in it other than you think the word needs to get out.
I think that, look, it's, the studies are pretty good out of Columbia University, right? They've been talking about this last 5 years. And then when I called the owner and the patent holder, he's been talking about this since 1999. He's had 20 years this technology. I don't have any equity. I don't own the company. I'm just trying to get the message out because people are asking me, hey, I heard your talk. Where can I get this product? And it took me about a couple weeks to find it myself. So I'm guiding them, hey, this company's out there. They work in hospitals. They're in nursing homes. They have their systems, HVAC units. Boeing has been using them since 2016.
Right.
Dish using them. I mean, there's companies that are using them. I just think people don't know about it because I certainly didn't know about it until I did my due diligence and did the research. So if I didn't know about it, my physician colleagues didn't know this existed. A lot of the hospital systems didn't know it existed. How will we know this could be a possible solution? So my thing is get the word out. Maybe somebody who's listening can actually bring it up to their local community or their local hospital, local legislator, and get something going. And this technology, when I started talking more and more to him about this, because I'm thinking, hey, this is for disinfection, PPEs, equipment, have this in airports. But I found out they've actually done studies on like produce, right? So imagine you go to your local shopping center and you want that organic tomato. Well, now if the light can be shining on the produce and it doesn't cause mold. So now it's big use for that. Or what about packages, right? A big retailer where you're worried about, does this package have any viruses or something I'm worried about? And it can slide through the whole thing and disinfect the whole warehouse in a matter of seconds. Or imagine one day where you have a cut. Instead of taking out, antibiotic ointment for that cut, you just shine this Sharpie looking light and it'll sterilize it, and then you put a Band-Aid on. And then the military uses, the surgical uses. I mean, it's a really innovative technology. When I started realizing
Doctor, could you show us the unit?
Yeah, sure. It's right here behind me. I can turn it on. So since it's not, if it's not FDA approved, I'm just going to wear the safety goggles and I'll turn it on here in a second. Y'all see it?
Yes.
Yes.
So that technology will in between patients will sterilize the whole room in about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and the patient will come in, and then when they leave, sterilize the whole room. So that way, not only are you also wiping everything down, you got that extra measure, and then I also have it in my HVAC unit, so the air is getting purified. So from all three angles, I'm doing everything I can as a physician to assure my patients, hey, I'm trying to do, besides having the N95s, the masks, the clothing, I'm also trying to tell my patients, hey, this is as safe as I can physically create my office to be, where you feel comfortable coming in.
But doctor, you said these units, as you said, you got the last one, or they loaned you one as they're building one for you. They're not really readily available.
Well, I think they are readily available. I think just the volume of phone calls, right? I mean, they've had this company for the last 20 years. It's just, the volume or the demand wasn't as high as the, coronavirus epidemic. So now they're ramping up production and trying to get more. And I think I should have my mine ready by next week.
All right. Doctor, what about the sunlight? For instance, the wife and I are very careful when we go to the unit. In fact, it's a beautiful, bright, sunny day here on the East Coast, up in the Mid-Atlantic area. We bought some things at the store yesterday, some cat food, and actually we've got that cat food sitting outside on a picnic table in the sunlight, hoping that the sunlight will potentially kill any germs or any of the virus that's on those cans, because you don't know who touched those cans before we're in the store, or who coughed them or whatever. Is that something smart to do, or am I just wasting my time, or is that just a false sense of security what we're doing?
Well, the sun emits UVA, B, and C rays. UVA is basically what you actually get from the sun, and UV, B, and C is protected by the ozone layer, right? So that's why UVC technology. What the sun does, I recommend all my patients to be out in the sun, not for the sense of protect themselves from the virus, but to get vitamin D, which studies have shown that increases your immunity. So being out in the sun is a good idea because you have higher vitamin D levels, which may potentially protect you against the coronavirus. Number two, humidity is what the virus does not like, right? So basically the virus is killed at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. But if you have a relative humidity of 35 to 40% and a temperature above 76 Fahrenheit, it can decrease the contagion. So if it's aerosolized for 3 hours, you can bring it down to 30 minutes to even an hour just by having it being humid.
All right. Doctor, do you foresee with the coming of the summer, as you say, heat and humidity, do you foresee the coming of summer as the end of this corona epidemic?
That's actually a great question. And it's the same thing as the flu, right? So are there cases of flu in the summer? I have patients that are high risk and still get the flu. The majority of patients, it levels off, right? And part of that is, one, the humidity. And they've even looked at the hot zones. John Hopkins has a map of the hot zones, and all the places that are hot or humid, they're not getting as many cases of the coronavirus. I think it will actually decrease by the summer. And then you got to look at all the studies that came out in China and Italy. They were getting it in the midst of their winter. So we should actually get a little bit less than needed because we're doing it in springtime and in summertime.
Dr. Fatakhov, give us the details of this unit again, the company, if we have whoever would want to find out about it, if we have individuals or doctors or perhaps politicians listening to this. Give us the skinny on the company that has this unit.
The inventor is Edward Meester. He's the inventor. And then the guy who did a lot of the studies was Dr. David Brenner out of Columbia University. So if you go to the Columbia University website, they have an article about it, but sterilray.com is the only company I'm aware of that makes it and has the patent for that technology, that 222 nanometer technology, wavelength.
Well, Doctor, if you're not invested in this company, maybe you should be. I mean, with the markets the way they are, I mean, it'd be good to find a winner. Doctor, does this company have a website?
Yes, sterilray.com.
Sterilray.com. Well, Dr. Eddie Fatakhov, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. As I said, when I got this press release, I knew right away I wanted to get you on as a guest. And I want to thank you for helping to educate me,
absolutely,
as well as our viewing and watching audience. And I want to commend you for wanting to get the word out on this. And Doctor, how could our listeners and viewers also get the word out?
Basically, if you're on social media, just kind of spread it and repost it and just make sure people know about it. Because once they know about it, I mean, common sense, logical thing. Well, this should be in hospitals. This should be on airports. This should be on airplanes. We can get back to work tomorrow if you put these up in masses. Or to solve our epidemic and pandemic with PPEs, right? If I can re-sterilize an N95 mask, then me as a physician feels a lot more safer when I'm admitting patients at the hospital. So just kind of get the word out, talk to your local legislator, and just kind of keep pushing for it. Because if the government does not know about this technology, it's not going to be a consideration.
All right. Dr. Eddie Fatakhov, I want to thank you so much for joining us. How can our listeners contact you or keep in touch with you or keep track of what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm at drfatakhov.com. That's Fatakhov. I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, pretty much all the social media outlets. If they want to follow me or have any questions, keep email me.
Fascinating. Dr. Eddie Fatakhov, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to have Hayden Ludwig join us. He's written a very interesting article, Democrats Must Stop Pretending Get Out the Vote is a Charity. Don't go away. We'll be back with our next guest right after this break.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. The Doctor for Democracy was taken, so we call him the Doctor for the Republic. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, check out our website, ccrshow.com, ccrshow.com. You'll find our radio show there, our TV show there, as well as a lot of great articles and a lot of terrific information. And with that, Nasir, our next guest is with us. And as I say, as you do with all our guests, make him feel welcome.
Thank you, Rick. We have Hayden Ludwig. He's an investigative researcher at the Capitol Research Center. a native of Orange County, California, and he graduated from Sonoma State University. So Hayden, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Glad to be with you both. Thanks.
Well, listen, we want to talk to you about the article that you wrote, that Democrats must stop pretending that the Get Out the Vote is charity. But before we get into that, give our viewers and listeners, audience out there, what is it what is the Capital Research Center? Is it a think tank? Is it a NGO? I mean, give us a sense of what it is.
Yeah, so we're actually a combination of things. We call ourselves an investigative think tank, America's investigative think tank, that is. We're based in D.C. We've been around since the early 1980s, and we're a rapidly growing think tank. And our whole thing is, like capital, we look at the flow of money into politics. But we do so basically to try and uncover all of the hidden connections between people, between activists, between their big dollar donors. So people you've heard of like George Soros or Tom Steyer, who recently ran for president, we study those guys on a daily basis. And so anything dark money, anything philanthropy on the other side is pretty much in our bailiwick.
You know, do you see that? Well, I was going to ask you another question, but since you brought that up, here's a segue. Do you see the dark money flowing? Is it equal on both the left and the right, let's say? Democrats, Republicans? I mean, the Koch brothers are some of the things that people bring up that, you know, they're sort of like, you know, the never Trumpers, or they're more like interested in, you know, the Small Business Administration and trying to, you know, do everything they can to, you know, put money in their pocket, obviously. So give us a sense, dark money, left, right, equal, unequal?
Right. Well, we have a little joke at the office that dark money is a term the left came up with to describe money spending on things that they don't like, that they want to shut down. And no, absolutely not. There's no parity whatsoever. It's how you define the term, right? It's a political term. It's not a legal term. It's not an official term. It's meant to scare you. Dark, right? And the answer is, from what we look at, is it depends on PAC money, political action committees. It's pretty similar on the left and the right. But then you get into the massive networks of just thousands and thousands of 501c3 and 501c4 nonprofits that are supposed to be doing charitable things. You find that the left massively outguns the right. I mean, there are groups doing what we're going to talk about today, about doing get out the vote activism and voter registration stuff that most people don't think of as a nonprofit charitable activity. And I know dozens and dozens of groups on the left who do this. I can't name a single one, and not for lack of trying. So no, we have a handful of large donors on the conservative side, but we're dealing with dozens upon dozens of massive foundations and the billionaires behind them, all pushing the left's agenda. It's not even close.
So what happens is that through these funnelings, I mean, it's sort of like, you know, when you talk about where people have, you know, they've got shell corporations, and that shell corporation owns another shell corporation, and that shell corporation is divided into other shell corporations. So when you dig one up, it's like peeling back the layers of an onion, and you just have more stink, basically, you know, as you keep peeling that. In your article, and that's what I was asking, that you say that the Funders Committee, which is one of the things that you're talking about, it's not even an IRS recognized 501c3 nonprofit. And you go on to say, just like, you know, you go ahead and search the services. You're not going to get any results for that. Instead, you say that there's one place called Neo-Philanthropy. It's one of the left's darkest dark money operations. But you said it wasn't created with the donor's financial endowment. Instead, it funnels it through things like the Ford Foundation. I mean, what could be wrong with that? Or the Carnegie Corporation, or even the ACLU and the New York Immigration. Am I to believe that once this money is given to these nonprofits, when they dole the money out, can you follow the trail there? Or is it also, I mean, How do you know where that money is going to? I mean, it gets the Ford Foundation, but then where do Ford gives it to?
Yeah, right. If it ends in foundation, it must be a really good thing, right?
Right.
Well, yeah. So you mentioned it. You brought up a few different things. So the Funders Committee for Civic Participation, which I think has the most Soviet name I could possibly come up with for voting. The Funders Committee is, you mentioned, it's not an IRS recognized nonprofit. It's basically what you could call fiscally sponsored. It's not necessarily a malicious thing. What it means is, it's a website, it's a glorified website that acts like a fully fledged nonprofit, like the one I work for, but in reality is a front for a much shadier, much darker nonprofit. That is a real organization. That's Neo-Philanthropy. It's got a really vague name for reasons so that you can't really find out what it is. The reason they do this is you can think of this dark money trail that we track as a river of cash, right? On the far end, on the upstream side, it starts with some billionaire, some big foundation, some entry point into the bloodstream that gives huge sums. I mean, it could be billions of dollars in the cases of guys like George Soros who have to spend. And that goes through their foundations, which then trickle down grants into regular everyday 501c3s or C4s. The only difference being that you should know, by the way, is how much lobbying they can do. And lobbying being defined as a really vague term about being involved in anything political. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But they trickle all this money down. And the tricky thing is for guys like me, because the IRS requires these nonprofits to disclose how much money they received in income, like you'd expect, give me your budget. It doesn't require them to publicly disclose their donors. So what I find is I can track groups that grants that a group made, so going downstream, but I cannot find out who gave them the money to begin with unless I already happen to know who gave them the money to begin with. Do you know what I mean? So you end up with groups like neo-philanthropy that I call dark because here they are trying to change America's electoral outcome. They're trying to enact new policies on huge things like how we vote. Should we vote by mail, for instance? That's a big decision. And they're doing these things with huge tax exemptions and massive, massive streams of money coming from big donors, where my conclusion is if you had your average American who's not even necessarily very political, and you told them that there's this group trying to affect their elections, and they get their taxes exempt for doing it, and they're funded by big guys like Soros that you wouldn't agree with, I think that they'd be a little incensed by that. So that's basically our job, is to pull back the curtains on that kind of arrangement, which is very typical on the left.
Well, I've always said and talked about this is that, when our republic here, if it's going to be, let's say, attacked from the inside, yes, we talk about the presidential elections and the House elections, Senate, all of that. And those are very important. But the local elections mean so much. I mean, look at what George Soros has just talked about. Look at the amount of money that he's poured into, let's say, the state of California and Los Angeles to get the district attorney there elected. I believe the same thing happened with in Philadelphia.
And in New York, there were about 12.
About that, and changing the laws. I mean, in terms of where no bail is needed, or we're only going to go after certain laws or whatever, and we're not going to go after certain types of criminals, or we're going to say this is a felony, this is a misdemeanor. So when you start to upset the fabric of the American democracy or the American republic from basically at that smaller level, it will trickle its way up to the top, as you mentioned, by carefully targeting Colorado. You said the left was able to flip a battleground state into a reliably democratic one, thanks in no small part to the efforts of this funders committee. Explain that a little bit, please, in terms of what happened in Colorado.
Yeah, so you gotta look at what role the funders committee serves, because all of these groups, they kind of occupy some sliver of this market of big funders, right? I mean, the irony being that they're all socialists, but they really are entrepreneurial in how they do things. So the Funders Committee is not a real nonprofit. We went over that. But that also means that it doesn't make grants itself. Instead, what you should think of is it's a committee. It's a place for a bunch of other groups that do make grants, cut big checks, to gather and discuss how are we all going to divide our resources to tackle a common policy agenda. Right. So they actually have this 7-step process. They call it the integrated voter engagement model. Think about that. Integrated voter engagement model is an interesting thing for a tax-exempt charity to be doing. But it starts with, if you count all the 7 steps, it starts with register people to vote, and it ends with enact policy changes. I mean, that is what you think of when you think of elections. But these groups are not supposed to be doing electioneering work. And so they toe this really thin, nearly invisible line about what a nonprofit can get away with doing. And it's a joke for somebody who looks at it and says, technically you're nonpartisan because you can't engage in political work, but really you're heavily ideological, and it's really closely related. So groups that are part of this funders committee, I calculated in the 2016 election, if you add up all of the about 90 different groups that go to these summits, these convenings put on by the funders committee, they spent about $6 billion with a B all together Now, not on all the same projects, but these are big groups. It should just highlight the kind of money, the kind of power that these guys can draw from. And I looked for it. I cannot find anything remotely like that on the conservative side. Sure, there's big donors, but there's not a committee that brings together the wealthiest people to hide in the shadows and to determine you're going to drop $500,000 here if you're the SEIU, right, a big labor group, or if you're the Democracy Alliance, you're another big convening thing run by the who's who of the elite left. Well, you guys are going to coordinate another $10 million in this state. And so they did this in Colorado, right? You brought up how they flipped it. So Colorado used to be a fairly conservative agricultural state. And then what happened about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, is the left basically created a model there. And they actually call it the Colorado model. They treat it as a blueprint for flipping states. And it was created as a combination of this funders committee. I mentioned a group a while ago called the Democracy Alliance. Think of it as the same kind of group. Doesn't make grants itself, but it directs huge amounts of money. And a couple people in a left-wing professor, a college professor in Colorado, who basically came up with this blueprint. And so it involved spending money to target things like the 2010 census to get out Democratic-leaning groups. And they mentioned who those are: women, Latinos, young people, the ones that they can sway fairly easily. It also involved registering just huge numbers of people in the cities to vote. And that ensured that by 2010, they could start to flip the state to vote Democrat blue and basically make it a permanent Democratic majority. They want to turn that blueprint to the rest of the country.
Hey, Hayden, we have to take a break. I'm hoping you can stay with us, but you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our guest this segment is Hayden Ludwig. He's an investigative researcher at the Capital Research Center, and we're discussing Democrats must stop pretending get out the vote is a charity. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more from our guest, Hayden Ludwig.
Are you a veteran and are you a homeowner? Then think Streamline and maybe save yourself a few $100s every month on your mortgage. A VA Streamline refinance. It's called a rate reduction loan because mortgage interest reduction is exactly what it does. It's just for veterans and it lowers your mortgage rate so you can save on mortgage payments every month, every year. That's a lot of money saved. And it's so easy to qualify. You don't need pay stubs, a W-2, or bank statements. You don't need a home appraisal. It's fast and easy to apply. And mortgage interest rates are very low right now. So a VA Streamline refinance makes it super easy and super affordable to take advantage of this opportunity and really cut your monthly mortgage payments. Veteran and homeowner? Call us to find out more. 888-893-7491. 888-893-7491.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Is your credit card debt driving you batty? We're going up! Just like your credit card fees and interest rates. To the top! with those sky-high payments. You can't forget about your debt. Always fear, the debt suckers are here. Are your payments sucking the life out of you? Just one call to Consolidated Credit can get the debt suckers off your back. Consolidated Credit will lower your interest rates, consolidate your bills into one easy payment, and get you out of debt fast. Call Consolidated Credit and get your life back.
Call 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213. That's 1-800-201-8213. 1-800-201-8213.
When debt is the problem, Consolidated Credit is the solution. Because debt sucks!
Attention Viagra and Cialis users. Are prescription drugstore prices too costly? Get 50 generic pills for only $99. That's right, 50 100 milligram generic Viagra for only $99. Our products have the same active ingredients as the brand name products. Money back guaranteed if you're 100% not satisfied. Get 50 generic pills for only $99. Order now and call the number on your screen. Have your credit card ready.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Want to give a shout out to folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Long Beach, California, Arlington and Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network. Our guest this segment is Hayden Ludwig. He's an investigative researcher at the Capital Research Center, and we're discussing Democrats must stop pretending get out, the vote is a charity. Hayden, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time. Well, Hayden, here we are. We're in the 2020 census. In fact, my wife has been badgering me the past couple of days. We must do this. We must do this. Is it a law? We must complete the census?
No, it's not a law, but it's part of your civic duty, I'd say. And think about it this way. All of the many people on the left who want other people to complete the census so that they can bump up other states, like Colorado, for instance. This is the kind of stuff that here's what you need to do the census. There's 435 seats in the House of Representatives. Every 10 years, those get redistributed, right, reapportioned, and then redrawn. That whole process oversees not only the balance of power in this country, but also how something like $650 billion of federal aid is spent. So it's a big deal, and Democrats are paying attention, so we got to pay attention too.
Well, does that mean that we Republicans, we conservatives are not paying attention?
Well, not like the left is. The left is very innovative when it comes to this. Think of it this way. The left has tons of 501c3 nonprofits. Again, these are the tax-exempt ones that you give money to and you write it off on your taxes, right? You're like your church. They have done dozens of these groups that are dedicated to basically bumping up census counts. They actually call it GOTC, which is a lot like GOTV, get out the vote. This is get out the count. It's just like running a political campaign. And they basically are pushing going to major cities like Pittsburgh, right, or going to North Carolina and pushing likely Democratic-leaning constituencies there. And they're very clear about who these groups are. They call them the New American Majority, right? It's groups that they think that they can win. Well, I'm not opposed to getting an accurate count. Rather, when you see all these groups line up, there's obviously something more than just, fairness and charity like they say that there is. Right. The reason I wrote that op-ed, though, is because Democrats can treat that like it's a charitable act, meaning that 501c3 nonprofits can do that legally. There's an easy way to fix that. Bar 501c3s from doing this kind of get out the count stuff. It's outrageous that they should be able to affect, the next decade's worth of elections and call it a charitable act when it should be a political act. They shouldn't be tax exempt for that.
Hayden, in your article, you talk about the Trump administration's attempt to include a citizenship question will no doubt be celebrated as a win for the left. That's because the Supreme Court ultimately blocked the Trump administration from adding a citizenship question, agreeing that citizenship questions are unconstitutional. Well, why don't they just stand at the damn airport and count anybody that gets off a plane? I mean, citizenship. Who are we counting? I thought we were counting Americans, Hayden. What am I not seeing here? What's unconstitutional about a citizenship question?
Yeah,
help me out here.
For 200 years, it was on the main census survey, by the way. It was only in 2000 that they took it off, and they still ask it. It's just on a different survey that's not used for the congressional seat reapportionment. So it's still there, but not in any way that it actually matters, right? And it's laughable because clearly the precedent is on the side of the U.S. President Trump, right? It's just ridiculous. But really what it is, it's part of their game to call any attempt to have voter integrity laws, right, like voter ID. They wrap it all up, census and elections, into the same ballot, the same thing, and they call it voter suppression. And it's nonsense. Anybody...
It is nonsense.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know, Hayden, we always hear the name George Soros. Who are the other big funders? Let's put some names to these big donors.
Yeah, sure.
Soros.
One of the ones that I find all the time is Tom Steyer when it comes to green issues, environmental stuff. Big San Francisco hedge fund manager who's spent billions of dollars. The irony is that Soros has actually had some impact. Steyer has probably spent the most money and gotten almost no victories, which is something that people on the right might celebrate.
Certainly didn't get any delegates, did he, with all that money he spent?
Yeah, definitely not. But, you know, it's most of the big ones that I find actually aren't even real people. And this is the saddest thing. It's their foundations. And they have names that you'd recognize, right? Guys like Henry Ford. The Ford Foundation is probably a group that all of your listeners have heard of. The Ford Foundation does some good philanthropy things. Yes, it's true. But it also gives hundreds of millions of dollars to these kinds of causes we're talking about. Or just things like pushing abortion on demand, right? I mean, anything that is a hot button issue that should be debated in the public forum, they're engaged on, and they give huge sums. Or Bill Gates. I actually recently did a thing on Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, and Bill Gates and his wife Melinda. Their Gates Foundation is one of the biggest supporters of population control activities in the third world. But the one, and that's fairly well known in pro-life circles. But the one that's less known is Warren Buffett.
Hayden, you're depressing me a little bit. Give me a little bit of hope, would you? I mean, here we are. We're locked down. We got coronavirus coming out the yin yang, supposedly. I mean, we can't go out our doors. We can't go to our favorite stores. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I think we're actually creating a depression in this country. Give me a little hope, Hayden Ludwig. I mean, how do we stop this? Give me a little hope that we can stop this.
The hope is that the left has all of this nasty, shadowy network of groups and conniving liberal elites, and they still lose election after election after election. That's what I look at. When I add all this stuff up, as depressing as it can sound on the surface, remember that this is ultimately a tradition-loving, God-fearing country, and no matter how much these people try and manipulate things, they still manage to lose. And remember, they do manipulate things because they don't believe that they can actually convince you or convince me to support them. That's really how cynical it is. And
just maybe all the money they're spending is helping the economy. Look for a silver lining in that dark cloud. Hey, Hayden, we got to run. Hayden Ludwig, investigative researcher, Capital Research Center. We want to thank you for joining us here in Conservative Commandos. Please tell our audience how they could read your article, follow your work and the work of the Capital Research Center.
Go to our website, capitalresearch.org. That's capital with an A-L.
All right. Hayden Ludwig, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thanks for your time.
And right on the other side, on the Conservative Commandos radio show, we're going to be speaking with our good buddy, Frank Vernuccio. Frank has written a really interesting article, as he always did, the COVID Coverup. More coronavirus right after this break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And as a reminder, once again, for rebroadcast, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. And please don't forget to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And with that, Nasir, our next guest is with us, and the honor of that introduction is yours.
Well, thank you, Rick. Well, we have Frank Vernuccio. He serves as the editor-in-chief of the New York Analysis of Policy and Government. He's also the co-host of the Vernuccio Novak Report, which is broadcast on radio and the web on amfm247.com. He also co-hosts the American Political Zone, which is broadcast on cable in Eastern Connecticut. He's been here on a guest as many, many times. So, Frank, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Nasir, Rick, it's great to be with you both.
Well, great. We want to talk to you about your article, COVID Cover-Up. And you know what? You basically start off the article by saying that there were a lot of key items, a lot of things that President Trump was talking about early on as candidate Trump. And prior to that, before he was running for office, talking about that we have to be careful about what we're going to do with China. He was always talking about China as a currency manipulator. Remember his famous thing was, I have a lot of Chinese friends. They rent, they rent rooms from me, hotels from me. I make a lot of money from the Chinese, but they are savage negotiators. They are, they're the ones that negotiate the best, and we have stupid negotiators on our side. Talking about, in terms of where you're talking about in terms of the pharmaceutical industry and, supply chain, all this was there, came to fruition. So give us an idea as to where does all this thing fall up right now in terms of this COVID cover-up?
You know, astute observers like you and Rick will remember, of course, that back in 2016, one of the two major tenets of President then candidate Trump's campaign, one was the border wall, of course, and the other was that we have to start reeling in China. He talked about the supply chain. He talked about how some of the key ingredients in our weapons programs come from China. He talked about how the pharmaceutical industry had relocated essentially to China and how terrible that is. Well, flash forward to the start of this terrible COVID outbreak, and the media has totally forgotten then candidate Trump's urgent warnings at the time. But it gets even worse. The amnesia of the media even extends to this January. You might recall that President Trump closed the borders to anyone traveling from China. At that time, former Vice President Biden and the hierarchy of the Democrat National Committee said that he was, quote, racist and xenophobic, unquote. There is no need to do so. This was just an expression, they said, of Trump's xenophobia. Well, let's bring this forward even a little bit more. The worst hard-hit place in the United States is my hometown of New York City. And in New York City, our mayor, Mayor de Blasio, Comrade de Blasio as he's known to most of us here, said that there was no reason to close the public schools even after municipalities throughout the United States had already done so. So you had our young people traveling on crowded buses, crowded subways throughout the city at the insistence of the mayor, even when other cities had said it's too dangerous to keep schools open. The press has totally forgotten that. It gets even worse. Our health commissioner, Zinius Barbeau, said there's no danger. There's really no big threat here. She said people should go down and celebrate at the Chinese New Year's. Take the subway to Chinese New Year celebrations. Mingle with the people. Go out to restaurants. While all this was going on, the city was getting more and more infected. Other cities were already clamping down. New York City, thanks to our mayor, thanks to our health commissioner, was doing the exact opposite. But the media forgets this. Somehow or other, this is all Trump's fault. This is all the White House's fault. It doesn't make any sense. The evidence is not there at all. And the media simply has forgotten the whole thing. You watch the White House pressers, the White House press responses, and they're all absolutely blaming the president and ignoring the warnings that this very president gave in response to this crisis.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just take a look at, for example, some of the stupid, idiotic, asinine questions that these guys are asking in terms of, like, if you're talking about that the new rules by the CDC is everybody should put on a mask, or at least, those are the guidelines. Mr. President, why don't you have a mask on? I mean, how stupid would that look if you have the President of the United States, having a mask, during the thing? I mean, he can hold one up and show people how to put one on, but the questions are that. I think, Frank, and I'd like you to, give me your take on this. I think two of the greatest decisions that are, when we look back on this, that the president made was, number one, just like you talked about, 10 days after the first coronavirus patient was indicated and found in America on January 21st, on January 31st, he closed the borders to planes coming in from China. And the second thing is he basically talked about hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, just to say, hey, look, you know what? If you want to try it, doctors, we've got some great results that are out there. I think it's something to look at. And I think those are the two things that are going to be looked at, among others. But those are two things that are going to be looked at. Your thoughts?
There's a conspiracy against all journalists because that name hydrochloroquine, you just can't pronounce it. It's impossible. But what's fascinating to me is that the president said this is a potential drug. Yes. It's an established drug, so we know it's not going to kill people. While the president is pushing the distribution and use of this thing, in response to other countries have already used it, and they said it seems to be efficacious. It does seem to be doing a good job. Yet he's received extraordinary criticism, including, by the way, from some of the folks in his own inner circle about this drug. And yet, this is something that we desperately need.
Frank, do you want to name names with that? Do you want to name names with that?
I understand that even Dr. Fauci has
absolutely
been saying that this is something we should not do. Look, I understand in a normal circumstance that you would go through, a year and a half of testing and all that sort of thing. But the fact is, this is not a normal situation. We know already the drug is not harmful to humans. We know that it seems to be, in preliminary reports, doing a very good job. We need to rush this. We need to get it out there. We need to use it. That is a logical response. Yet the press, and again, a number of others, seem to be hitting the president hard on it. And just like you said, Nasir, and I totally agree with you, the president's warning back in January and his endorsement of this hydrochloroquine is going to be two things that are remembered more than anything else, I think, in this crisis.
You're right. And Frank, I tell you what, the media, what we call the alt-left media, the Democratic State Party control media, the left-wing media, they try to do this thing, but you know what? They had a poll recently about 6,200 doctors around the world, and they asked them, what do you agree on the most? 36 or 37%. Number one, everybody answered that question saying, we are already giving patients chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine already to our patients. Second thing, Frank, is that give us a sense, because I look online, I look on social media, I see Twitter, I see Facebook, and you're seeing different things from all across New York City. From right in Queens to Manhattan, in Elmhurst, all these areas. You see pictures of body bags and other things going on, whatever. What's your sense? Have you gotten a sense from the people that you know? I mean, how bad is it really? What's the fake news stuff going on? What's the real news? Give us a sense of what's happening really in New York City.
Well, there's a story behind the story here. We were all talking about Governor Cuomo being this great guy, and he does give great press conferences. I'll give him that. Few people realize that for a number of years, Governor Cuomo has been talking about we have too many hospital beds. We have to cut those down. They're wasteful. They're a waste of taxpayers' money in public hospitals. Governor Cuomo had every opportunity to buy, in anticipation of a potential pandemic, the equipment that he now says that President Trump should have given him a long time ago. So the press chooses not to report about all that, merely laying blame at the White House. Again, one of those stories that the press simply refuses to discuss or to acknowledge that it even exists. In terms of what the environment in New York is like, people are practicing social distancing. It's difficult. We still have buses and subways. At rush hour, they are still crowded. The subways are a petri dish for spreading any kind of disease, let alone this terrible COVID-19. I can't help but think that if the New York City officials were really interested in stopping this thing cold, they would have restrictions on the use of the subways, particularly at rush hour, by anyone other than emergency workers, food workers, and the like. But all along, from January till now, New York City officials have been virtually, except until very, very recently, have been encouraging people to get out there and do their thing. Now, of course, that it's too late and the infection has hit New York harder than any place else, they want everyone to remain isolated in their homes. Too late, the horse has left the barn.
And, well, now let me ask you this question. Well, go ahead, Rick. It looks like Frank, that we're coming up on a hard break.
Yeah, Frank, hold on. We got to go to a break. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our very good friend, Frank Vernuccio from the Vernuccio Novak Report and also the American Political Zone is our guest. We're talking about COVID cover-up. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Mom, thank God you're gonna be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033. Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing one-day bath and shower remodeling. The complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day. And for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our guest this segment is our friend Frank Vernuccio. Frank serves as the editor-in-chief of the New York Analysis of Policy and Government. He's also the host of the Vernuccio, one of the hosts of the Vernuccio Novak Report, as well as the American Political Zone, which is seen on the AUN television network in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Silicon Valley, wine country, all the way up to Redding. Very soon in Carson City and in Reno. Frank, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time. Frank, the coronavirus cover-up, you have some very interesting observations in here talking about Bernie Sanders. Senator Bernie Sanders opposed President Trump's move of the shutdowns of the borders and things. He insisted that he would not close borders and condemned the White House move as xenophobic. Frank, what do you think if Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden were in the White House? How bad do you think this epidemic would really be today?
Well, I think the entire United States would look exactly like New York City looks. Closing down the borders was the most important step. If we did not do that, the whole U.S. would be as bad as the city of New York. And again, that's an issue the press refuses to talk about. And on that topic, isn't it fascinating how no one mentions any more about Rachel Maddow? Rachel Maddow said when President Trump dispatched the Navy hospital ships to New York and Los Angeles, she scoffed and said, "What good is that going to do? It'll take weeks and weeks to get to their destination." They both arrived 10 days later. Story vanished from the headlines altogether.
and not to be heard of again unless you are watching the American Political Zone or the Conservative Commandos radio network. Frank, have we created a depression in this country? You know, Frank, I'm older than dirt. I've seen a lot of things in my life. I've seen the Cold War. I've seen the Cuban Missile Crisis. I've seen Watergate. I've seen Vietnam. Two Gulf Wars, 9/11. I've seen a lot, Frank, but I have never, ever seen or experienced what we're going through here today. And I got to wonder, Frank, is the cure actually worse than the virus? I mean, we are in can we say we're in a depression now? That within weeks, a few weeks, we have gone from the strongest economy in the history of mankind to last month, there was over 10 million people that applied for unemployment, when usually it's about 200,000. I mean, what is that, 500 times more? I'm not great at math, Frank, but you get the picture. 200,000 usually would apply. 10 million applied. Wow, Frank, to me that seems like a depression.
I'm afraid the news is not good at all, and it's going to get worse. Let me explain why. When I'm not in front of a microphone or doing research, I advise a small business association group. And they are estimating that a huge percentage of small businesses in the United States will simply not have the wherewithal to reopen. Now, small business accounts for 40% of job growth in the United States. If, in fact, this goes on far too long, those businesses that will close will represent a massive drop in employment in the United States. And that is going to be the opening phases of a depression, not a recession, but a depression.
Frank, I think we're in one now. I really do. I mean, when the only stores are open are the ones that governments say can be open, like liquor stores and marijuana dispensaries and grocery stores. I mean, they're essential, right? Right? Alcohol, alcohol and drugs, that's essential. However, so they're picking and choosing. Mom and pop stores closed, restaurants closed, laundromats closed. Frank, I don't know how much longer this is going to go on. So I say we are already in a depression.
Well,
it's here. It's here. I've never seen, as I said, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know. Maybe it's time for America to go back to work. Maybe it's time for business owners to start to defy people like Cuomo, people like Phil Murphy. Go back to work. Open your stores. Go back to work. Chances are, Frank, the way I see it, that we are past the hump of the flu season, which is usually mid-March, that things are going to get better. But my God, what are we going to do? Destroy our economy? Frank, our last Great Depression started in 1929, wasn't over till the end of the Second World War. And it was the Second World War, not FDR, not all his programs, not all the government spending. It was America getting back to work that ended the Great Depression. Frank, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm an idiot.
As a matter of historical fact, all the FDR remedial measures actually deepened the Depression. And in fact, most historians and economists agree that if we did not have FDR at the helm pushing
isn't that what we're trying with all these stimulus projects and programs, all this government spending? Frank, the last one was over $2 trillion in spending. That's as much as the government takes in an entire year. Yeah, we just can't continue to print money, Frank.
And it's a conversation for another time. It's a conversation for another time. But the other part of all this is that the left has been using this dire crisis as an excuse to push their agenda. For heaven's sakes, why did in that $2 trillion cover-up bill, we recall that Pelosi tried to push in mail-order ballots, try to push in gun control measures, try to push in all of these liberal agenda things, which tends to show you that they are not serious about addressing the crisis.
Well, the stupid Republicans went along with them, Frank. The Senate should have defeated that bill and said, we're not going to do this. We're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot. This is ridiculous. That none of that money, none of that $350 million for resettlement of refugees. What was that about? Or how about the $25 million to the Kennedy Center? And the very next day they fired everybody anyway. Or then, I'm getting upset here, Frank. But Frank, we got to run in a minute. But I think America has to ask themselves the next big question. The recovery. Who do we want to lead this recovery? Is it people like Joe Biden? Is it people like Bernie Sanders? Is it people like Hillary Clinton? Or even the Obamas? Or is it Donald Trump and the policies of Donald Trump that actually created the greatest economy in the history of the world in the first place? He and his policies have the track record to bring us out. Frank, am I thinking too far outside the box here, my friend?
Not at all, because if you go back to the Great Recession of 2008, the reality is that the Obama administration took that recession and prolonged it basically for another 8 years. If you had had a Donald Trump, say, at that time period, this economy would have been in its 10th year already of a magnificent recovery. So we can't make that mistake, but beware. You know that the press, just as it ignored what candidate Trump said in 2016 about the pharmaceutical industry, just as what President Trump said in January, just as it ignores what Rachel Maddow has done, this press is going to lay the entire blame for this crisis on the feet of Donald Trump and use that as a basis to try to hinder his re-election bid.
Frank Vernuccio Novak Report, the American Political Zone. We want to thank you so much for joining us here. Frank, please tell our audience how they could follow your work and read your articles.
Well, most importantly, watch the Conservative Commandos and AUN television. Our articles are found every day at usagovpolicy.com.
Frank Vernuccio, thank you so much for joining us. Frank, stay out of those subways. Stay off those buses. Stay safe, my friend.
I will. And health and safety to both of you and all your audience. Take care.
Thank you so much. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos with Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We will be back with more right after this break.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Well, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, I want to thank you for sitting in today as my co-host. Please tell our audience how they could find out what you're up to when you're not here with us on Conservative Commandos.
Well, thank you, Rick. Certainly glad to be with you here every day as well. And so if you want to get a hold of me, simply you can go to my website, which is drnasirshAIKH.com. That's drnasirshAIKH.com. My Twitter account, which is at Nasir Shaikh Show. That's at Nasir Shaikh Show. Or you can go to Facebook, which is the Nasir Shaikh Show. That's the Nasir Shaikh Show. And I'd like to thank, our guests that we had today. First off, we had Dr. Eddie Fatakhov. He's a board-certified physician, and he was talking to us about something very intriguing, that he's actually utilizing UV light to kill viruses, bacteria, all sorts of things. So very, very intriguing in terms of, the machines that can do it. Not really that expensive. I mean, it's just common sense. And you know what? It doesn't hurt to try to utilize all different things. We're not saying this is a complete cure, but he's done the research, gave a very good information on that.
Now, sir, one thing I want to say, I don't think it's going to be one thing and one thing only that's going to stop this coronavirus. I think it's going to be an arsenal of weapons, to actually stop it. And I think that Dr. Fatakhov and his idea of using this UV light, this 222 UV light.
UV light.
What a great idea.
And our second guest that we had was Hayden Ludwig. Hayden was talking to us. He's an investigative researcher at the Capital Research Center. And he was talking to us about his article, Democrats Must Stop Pretending to Get Out the Vote is Charity. He was talking about the dark money on the side of politics. And then finally, we spoke with Frank Vernuccio. He is part of he's a host of the Vernuccio Novak Report and also the American Political Zone. And Frank was talking to us about his article, which is about the COVID cover-up. Great guest once again here, Rick, on the Conserve Commandos radio network. Great insight, great info as always.
Yeah, sometimes it gives me a headache. I mean, we were talking with Hayden Ludwig about the dark money and what's being done to corrupt our vote, our elections. Unbelievable. The fact that they're counting non-citizens in our census. Why are they counting non-citizens in our census? And when Donald Trump tried to stop it, the Supreme Court said, oh, that's unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional.
You know, the justices that stop Trump, they ought to read the damn Constitution, Nasir. But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.